Hi, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today it's move-in day into our new bank of brooders. I can ambitiously fit 100 chicks in a go with about 25 for each shelf, and that's going to be enough space for the first 4 weeks or so before I've got to thin them out. These are upcycled muscle rack shelves. It's metal. It's not going to rot. I've already had these for a couple of years. To buy them new, it's not really worth it because they're $300 and something a piece. And you could frame this sort of situation out of wood for less than that. But if you happen to score a good deal like I did, then it's worth it. I had some polycarbonate panels, 1/4 inch thick. I had 3 of them laying around. So that's what the sides and the back are made out of. And I don't know if you guys appreciate the magic of a really good fit, but there was just enough room between the shelf and the rack frame to slide the side panels in, with barely even a 1/16 of an inch left. Then we put these braces in to get rigidity and to secure the fit. We did use plywood over top of the shelving. The rack itself is metal. These are slide out trays, which will make cleanup a lot faster. Normally I use a dustpan and I have to scoop at a time. This way it'll slide right out of the front. We can call this front runner board here like a chick scraper board. That way the chicks don't come with the pan. They're going to end up on that linoleum that we put over the plywood. That's going to make it waterproof. We'll get a lot more life out of the plywood that way. So you can pull the pan out, dump it in the wheelbarrow, slide the pan back in carefully. It has a 1-inch lip on it. So as it comes to where the chicks are, they're going to step over it back on here. I've done a similar design before, but the trays had ridges in them, and that was really annoying. These trays actually go to dog crate, like the bottom pan for a dog crate. You can get those separately. And there's a lot of different sizes. So this is 2 pans that perfectly fit the length of this shelf with enough room for a 2x2 to go in the center. This is going to be like my little spacer because I want to build dividers that are removable. So I can either have 2 brooders like it's currently set up to be, or I can split it into 4, or I could do 1 big one and 2 little ones. The flexibility to stay organized. I'm going to keep using the paver stone to support a water drinker and keep it cleaner, but I've got the piping and the tubing to do a drinker mounted here. That's why we have this lumber on the inside, so we can install the pipe with some brackets, and it's going to get fed through the side. We'll put a hole over there and feed a drinker that way. But first I want to try this design out, make sure I like it before we make it more expensive. In case I change my mind again. Because as you go through doing little flock expansions, you're going to find your favorite ways of doing things, and you're going to find your groove. Leading up to that point, it's going to be a lot of experimentation. This one, I haven't put the bedding in yet. The first one, I have peat moss in it, and I want to see how long it lasts, how long it takes before we get to a clean out day. But I was kind of thinking about doing shavings on one shelf and sand on another shelf so I can compare all 3 bedding choices for what's locally available. I've heard really great things about hemp bedding, but we don't have a local supplier. I did find one place and it was prohibitively expensive. And we're always looking at ways to save some money. So I'm probably going to go ahead and do the peat moss and do a dry run with that. Figure out if I like it better than shavings. It'll break down a lot faster in our compost, and it'll be a lot more beneficial to the garden in contrast to the pine shavings that need some more time. But when you have those little itty bitty chick poops, it's not as hot, and you can actually use those pine shavings as mulch in your garden. So we'll see. Like I said, we're still looking for our favorite ways of doing stuff. It's like every season I get a new idea to try out. And the building's never done. I'm pretty excited to get some chicks moved into here, though. So I'm going to get back to work and then get those babies moved. Here's the Rhode Island Red boys, just to check in with them, since we know that they're boys. And some are more obvious about it than others. None of them quite so obvious as the Orpington boy that we found. Except maybe that guy that was looking at us. And I want to tell you a story real quick. My first chickens, when I was a little kid, and I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old, they were Rhode Island Red cockerels, both of them. And I got them for Easter Sunday from Woolworths, just to tell my age a little bit. And it didn't take very long over that summer before they were both attacking me brutally and mercilessly. So my dad went ahead and called them for the table, and I was no longer getting attacked. And this is the first time I've ever had a Rhode Island Red after that. And I'm happy I'm not afraid of these guys. Just thought I'd share that little tidbit. These guys are pretty chill and pretty calm. Nobody's looking at me sideways. But I'm not going to be surprised if I develop a little bit of hesitation approaching them when they're older and bigger, starting to act more boyish. Curious to see how that pans out. Because I was not a happy kid when that was happening to me. Maybe it has something to do with why I'm so dual purpose now. I don't know. We'll see. Moving on. Alright, so I've got the girls moved in the brooders. And these are the ones that I think are going to be boys, based on their traits so far. Now today is their 3-week birthday, I guess you'd say. And the most obvious guy is this Buff Orpington here. That amount of pink on the comb at 3 weeks old and the little peak of wattles starting to come through makes him pretty obvious. The ones who aren't so obvious, got this gold lace Wyandotte here. Most pronounced comb in the whole bunch. We have a Splash Jersey Giant. Getting pretty pink. Pink wattles starting to sprout. And it was making the boy noises, which I hope to isolate on a video at some point, but so far no one's obliged. This is a black copper Marans. Thinking male. And the other thing that was interesting with them is the girls all had tails coming in, a lot like this olive egger. And this guy doesn't have a tail, which suggests there's a slow feather gene going on with him. This olive egger has the feathered feet of a Moran, so that's where the darker egg color gene's coming from. There's his little face. There's the little peekaboo wattles coming in on the chin. The cry is pretty boyish too. This is another olive egger. On these pea combs, the boys will usually have 3 rows of spikes, kind of like what this one has going on. And the girls would just have a little single row. You want to show your wattles? Not really much wattle growth going on, so we'll see on this one. But I'm going to get them set up into their own brooder so we can watch and see if there's any further developments. Even though, I mean, we've already confirmed this Orpington is definitely a boy. He feels pretty chunky though, so that's promising. And when I was going through baby by baby, about half the girls in that Orpington group felt pretty meaty, and the other half not so much. That might be a little fun group to play with and see if we can find him the best females that exhibit the table traits. That's just something I'm thinking about. The Rhode Island Reds, I ordered them as all male, so I'm pretty confident they're all going to be male. And I'm going to pull probably about 10 of them to put with these guys so that everybody gets a big enough space. But let's jump over to the pullets and see how they're adjusting to their new brooder situation. On the bottom here, I have the Buff Orpingtons. I've been listening for cries that suggest they're too cold because they are in the barn at large. This is not inside of a room. This is just inside of the building. Doors and airflow. They have their one little heat source. They're not piling, they're not crying. I'm gonna observe to see if they need a higher strength bulb or not. And if I do put a higher strength bulb in, I'd have to raise it up higher, which I can do with zip ties, and I can change stuff around to accommodate as needed. I don't see any more obvious boys in here compared to that Buff Orpington guy earlier. These are all looking decidedly girly. So far, every single one's been really chill and calm. None of the groups seemed any more flighty than another. Above them, we have the Easter eggers. And I didn't see a boy in that group. They've already started to spread out. They're not hiding under their light. They all seem to be pretty comfortable. And I probably have a week, maybe 2 weeks before I'm gonna have to thin out the numbers in here. Over here we have the olive eggers on the bottom. They haven't gone adventuring yet. And I don't see any obvious boys. We had one that was dust bathing already in the peat moss. They do like how fluffy it is. This is the rare breed group. They seem a little excitable. The 3 Billfelder pellets were really easy to find. That's a Billfelder right there going and hiding. That's one right there. And the third one is right there, coming in with their female coloring. I haven't heard any other boy noises coming out of here. But it's early. We're only at 3 weeks. Some stuff could change over the next 5 weeks. So I'm going to keep my eye on them. See how it goes. I haven't yet found the anticipated 10 boys because the hatchery did say it's 90% accurate on vent sexing. We'll see. So far it's less than that. but they need more time to grow. And now they all have double the space to keep right on growing. So I'm going to finish cleaning up the other brooders and get the boys into their double space. We'll do another update next week. See how they're doing in this new space we have for them. Some of our overnight lows are going to be in the 20s. And that's where I'm going to have to be vigilant. And I do have a covering I could put over the front of this. The back and the sides, with them being solid, that's going to block drafts. The draft will come in from the front. So we'll see what all we have to do in this wide open brooder environment for these age groups. They're not fully feathered yet, so that makes them more susceptible to catching a chill. And I just need to watch and be careful and be mindful, watching the weather, see if there's any changes we need to make. More on this later.